Hi, Leo. Welcome to Eight of Cups Tarot, and welcome to your cards for August. Happy birthday to all of you out there, especially my August Leos. I do hope that you have a wonderful birthday month and that you celebrate in all the great Leo ways. Really quick, I just want to jump into the energy for August because it's especially potent for you, Leo. We're dealing with a lot of oppositions in your chart, first house and seventh house, which is all about kind of that inner power struggle between what you want and the relationships in your life. And we have almost every planet retrograde when August starts. And of course, there's a big moment towards mid-August when Uranus finally starts to go retrograde as well. Again, your 10th house. So there's a big emphasis on your future. And I think August is going to start really putting the pressure on you to make the big decisions, to make some moves. And maybe it's not all going to happen physically at once. But what's kind of really interesting about August is we have these two full moons in your seventh house representing a lot of closure within the way that you relate to others or the way that you embody relationships within your life. And I think we've been through this process of changing our priorities, changing our needs. And Leo season, of course, is going to put an emphasis on not settling. But what adds to that, the value that comes into you guys this month, is Venus in your second house. Because she's a powerhouse there. Now, Venus isn't exactly exalted in Virgo, right? She isn't playful. She's not in her best form. It's not a place where she's comfortable or a place where she could really enjoy. But she is super productive. And she will force you to do the things of value, which has really been this Saturn transit through your seventh house as well. What is of true value to you? What speaks to your heart? And I think it's about allowing the changes, allowing the receiving to come into your life at this time. Now, these full moons in Aquarius are super powerful, and it's all about the authenticity. And I think there's going to be a real important decision that you start to make this month about the people and the things within your life. Seventh house can represent contracts as well. So contracts within jobs, commitments of any kind. And it could even put an emphasis on the things that you own. Especially if you own business or if you're in entrepreneurship, if you're in a creative endeavor, this is going to be an emphasis on where you want to take these next, the new beginnings that are coming in. As I was focusing on August's energy, that's not a word. As I was kind of tuning into the energy in August myself, I was getting the feeling of direction. And usually Spirit speaks to me in really interesting ways throughout the month as to what I'm going to be stumbling upon when I do these readings. And I did stumble upon this really beautiful set of tarot cards, actually two of them, that were kind of representing places on earth and direction. And I think there's a big emphasis about the decisions that we make. This was in July as well, but July was kind of setting the stage, creating the environment. Here's the situations, here's the feeling, here's the truth. August is kind of like the assessment and the plan for the next step. And with Venus in your second house, it has to be of value. It has to be something stable, something that makes you feel good about yourself, something that makes you truly enjoy the environment that you're in. And the changes will come naturally. The things that are not resonating with you any longer simply have to start making the exit strategy. And I think that's important for you this month. Now, your energy coming out is that of the Knight of Wands. This is your energy, Leo, and I really love it because to me, this is the unwillingness to feel tied down. And I think that's the emphasis this month with all of this energy in your 7th house of freedom. And I think that Leo is especially tuned into the feelings of passion and the things that you truly love and desire in your life. And there's going to be certain scenarios that you know that you want to experience. Now, for some of you, it could be travel. For some of you, it could be this new job or this new endeavor. For some of you, you could be starting new businesses. And of course, for some of you, this is about relationships and love and the need to feel freedom within them. See, there's a difference between wanting companionship and wanting relationship and wanting a passionate experience. And there's always times in our life where we kind of go back and forth on what our emotional needs are. And because we're experiencing the Saturn-Uranus square, it's not really going to be about the written commitments, because we're in a time of revolution. And so maybe for some of you, there was an emphasis kind of on the practical things for a long time. I have this past energy of a 2 of Pentacles and an Ace of Pentacles in reverse, and all of that feels very grounded, right? There was probably a time in our life where we kind of made the steadier decisions, things that were good, things that kept us safe, things that were logical and respectable, and there's an emphasis on obligation and your word and your ethics and your morals, of course. But with this Knight of Wands energy, there's a need to feel the freedom from those things. And I think that a lot of August is going to show you, probably through an uncomfortable amount of contrast with this 2 of Pentacles, what is of value and what is not. We could spend a lot of time here. We probably have been spending a lot of time here in the what ifs. How do I can't really drop this thing, but I really want to start this other thing. And it's okay for a short time, right? The 2 of Pentacles is sometimes a necessary energy. Like sometimes you do have to juggle a little, Sometimes we're in a place of indecision and immediately we want to know that we can and will feel grounded. And I think there's a lot of us that are looking back on our past, right? Like that was and is what this whole Mercury through your 12th house is. It's about an understanding and acceptance of why you made the decisions that you made and why you are at the crossroads that you're at right now. But I look at this Ace of Pentacles in reverse. And it's clear to me that the universe, your circumstances, your environment are begging you to drop one of the balls. Begging you to dedicate yourself and to find greater focus. And I look at this Ace of Pentacles in reverse, and it comes out right above this direction card number 4, West. And this card represents a completion. When I see an Ace of Pentacles in reverse and I see a card of completion like this, there is an indication to me that there are certain commitments that will and should be, and the universe is supporting an ending of. See, because it's Leo season and we have to be all in. And ultimately, you're on a journey of finding that thing in which you want to be all in. Now, underneath this Two of Pentacles, we have the card, you and your loved ones are safe, new moon in Cancer. Now, we just had a new moon in Cancer recently in July. And that really put an emphasis on our stability and our security, because that Cancer energy, especially you in your 12th house, is all about your emotional security. Where am I safe? And the thing is, Leo, vulnerability, as Mercury starts to move through that 12th house, is going to be uncomfortable. Most likely. Now, the environment card for you, your circumstances, is that of the High Priestess. And sometimes this card strikes me very differently. And to me, this is all of that Virgo energy. This is all of the Virgo, Venus, second house, worthiness energy. And I'm not sure if this is like, I don't see this energy as another person in your life. I see this energy as a future version of self. Now, I know that probably sounds a little bit crazy. But the thing about the High Priestess is that she has no reason to have any doubts, right? Like, you'll never find the High Priestess second guessing herself, because she doesn't spend a lot of time being lost in the mind. And I'm not getting a whole lot of logical energy. There's more of a need to it's like the fire and the earth. And what happens when we think about fire and earth is kind of that wildfire energy. And there's parts of your life that kind of have to burn down, to burn away. And those are kind of the old version of self and these cycles that you're closing out. And I think it relates very closely with your ability to become vulnerable. Because there's no doubt that right now the current energy is not that of the High Priestess. See, we have a 9 of Wands and a 10 of Wands in the current conditions for you. And there's a lot of synchronicity here. There's absolute growth. So if you're operating in a place of being worried about how these changes are going to unfold, what's going to come next, I have to tell you that it's all of the expectations that are kind of weighing you down. Okay? Because those thoughts become burdens. Every expectation that we make actually becomes a burden. And it's where we give our power away. Now, especially for those of us that are looking for like the new job, or to solidify a new relationship, or to end a relationship, end one job and start another, we're in that closing out phase. And I mean, quite honestly, there's never anything in the world that comes to a completion or an end when there isn't a new beginning. And we're always stuck in that fear place of not trusting the new beginning. And the thing is, like the universe, if you tune into the cycles of the universe, if you tune into the way like the whole world works, we don't ever go to bed at night like really thinking like, my God, what if the sun doesn't come up in the morning, right? We don't do that. We just know that it always happens. And I think that if we get lost in the hows or the whys or the whens of this process, and if we allow ourselves to be on the negative lower realms of the Virgo energy, if we remain like super overcritical or analysis paralysis, kind of beating a dead horse, trying to find all of the answers, when you have to simply accept that the answers aren't really important anyways. See, a lot of us need some kind of physical evidence before we close out the cycle, right? Like we always want to search for that guarantee. Okay, well, I'm going to leave this steady, normal paying job, but I'm going to need some sort of a contract or a promise that this next endeavor is going to, at the very least, keep me safe. Because we have this, you and your loved ones are safe, and we have this Two of Pentacles, and there's clearly like a question of whether you are safe. And the Ace of Pentacles in reverse means that you feel a little uplifted, a little uprooted. And I think that's symbolic of being and, inviting the change into your life. And the thing about the Nine of Wands and the Ten of Wands is that unconsciously we could be blocking out our own intuition here. Now the Nine of Wands is a wounded warrior, right? So what happens, the older, the wiser we get, the more experiences that we have, we begin to easily see patterns, right? Okay, well, been here, I've done this before, and this Aquarius energy all in your 7th house could really have you feeling like you crave the independence. And if you get lost in a place of needing or expecting other things from other people, you're going to have a hard time seeing this Ten of Wands, which is kind of right in front of you. Because I just don't think that you know exactly how close you are. How close you are to this whole thing kind of being resolved and done. And that Ten of Wands is like that feeling when you're so close to the finish line. You're so close to that thing that you've been wanting and desiring, and yet so exhausted. When I see a Nine of Wands and I see the Ten of Wands right next to it, I always get a little worried, because this is where, Leo, you can get weary. You can start to compare this situation to situations in the past that didn't work. Be reminded of times, right? Like Chiron is retrograde, Eris is going retrograde. Like there's a lot of stuff going on in your 9th house in Aries, trining, all of this Leo energy. And there could be kind of a false ego. There could be kind of like this false voice in your head that says, this isn't going to work out either. There could be some self-doubt that creeps in, or some kind of something that makes you feel like you have to protect yourself. And the thing is, this Nine of Wands is like super irritating because you are so close to the end. And the High Priestess in your environment does mean that you're protected, and it does mean that you're getting downloads, you're getting signs, you're getting synchronicities. But I'm worried that some of you won't listen. And I'm worried that some of you won't trust what you're feeling, right? Because when we have a lot of Wand energy, then we know our ego is being activated. And a Knight of Wands clearly can easily act from a place of ego. And for some of you, It may be time to get vulnerable, and that's exactly when you get scared. You can cut things off. You can block yourself from opportunities. You can come off a little bit cold and guarded. And the thing is, you have like this really, really deep desire, and you know exactly what you want. You've requested it, like you've made the request. And you're so, so close to getting there. And of course, when we reach a pivotal point of success, when we've reached that point of growth, the universe will never fail us. The sun will always come up again. And what I really love, if you could push yourself, right? If you could push yourself, if you could be vulnerable, if you could stay in a place of having faith, trusting your gut, not your mind, like we can't be in a logical place, right? You got this card of Delphi. I receive divine messages constantly and clearly. I look for the truth in any situation. I know myself. Power comes from the inside out. And that's what I think this is all about. I think this is all about understanding where you are in your power. And the thing is, even if those things don't work out, they're meant to move you. The thing about the Delphi card, this was a location on Earth that was known to be the closest you could get to God. And I think that's kind of where Leo's expectations are. And I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing. I don't necessarily get this feeling like, you know, you're being too dreamy or you're asking for too much or this is unrealistic. See, I think that maybe you might come to periods and times within the month where you might feel as though what you truly want might be unrealistic. But the Ten of Wands is a promise that it's not. And the High Priestess is a promise that you're gonna get the clarity, that you're gonna see it for what it is. And it doesn't really matter anyways. Whether this works out, whether this doesn't work out, this was a stepping stone to the better place. And I say that especially because we get this card, the bottom of the deck is this Eight of Cups, which is all about the better place. Okay? And the thing about the Eight of Cups is that these cups aren't empty. They're not they're not less valuable. These are valuable experiences. These are valuable emotional options. You know, it's not like trying to decide between a narcissistic ex and a brand new love of your life. Like, Eight of Cups is not an easy decision because the things that you're leaving behind do hold value. And they're not easy to leave. Whenever I see the Eight of Cups, I'm always pulled to the red coat, and that's the coat of inspiration. And that's a coat of intuition and knowing. And you may not be clear why. You don't know why your soul is tugging you in this direction. You don't know why you're being told to just keep moving. But you do. And as you get pulled, see, the universe is leading you towards the very thing that you deserve. There's dharma coming your way. So you've been through the struggle. You've been through the hard times. You've done the hard work. You've done the heavy lifting. And There's like this decision of what is most important to you, and it's not about the promises, it's not about the commitments, it's not about the logical, grounded thing. It's more so about the path to real happiness. And the thing is, you're clearly stepping into your path. You're clearly stepping into a very fated journey. And there's a promise of emotional fulfillment with the Justice card. There's a promise that what you asked for you will receive because you put out those intentions, because you've done the work. Now remember, 10 of Wands, there's gonna be some things you're gonna have to let go of. Some of those things are the expectations themselves. Some of those things are like the written guarantees. Because you're not moving, like the place that you're moving to is and will be stable. But it's because you realize that you yourself are stable. And it's not about like what the other person brings to the table. It's not about the commitment. It's more so about the adventure. And Leo, I think that that's what you want right now, is the adventure and what makes your soul feel free. Now, for some of you, I think what your soul feels free doing is being in love, being seen. And there's so much vulnerability coming from these two cards. Because it's very clear to me that my Leos are walking away from an old way of life, an old phase. Like if these are relationships in your life, then you were awfully used to them being hard, being heavy. You know, friendships in your life where you felt like they were burdensome, relationships in your life that felt burdensome. And you're moving into this new phase, which is a lot lighter. Emphasis on the lightness. And there's definitely a journey here that comes in with this Two of Cups and this Six of Wands. Because this is really and truly the reason why all the other things didn't work out. Right? Sometimes we have to choose between pride and love. Because love can make us feel really unsafe and vulnerable. And pride can make us give up right before the finish line. Maybe that was kind of your thing. Maybe you didn't want to do the work. Maybe you didn't want to be exposed. Maybe you didn't want to take that giant risk. Maybe you didn't want to tell that person how you were really feeling. And if that's the case, then you can expect to stay in this King of Pentacles judgment energy. Because here in the future, we've got this Five of Swords and the Moon card. I think this is where we get tripped up. The Five of Swords is really like self-sabotaging, bad habits, being in your head, comparing yourself to others, you know. And it's a lot of negative self-talk as well. And I feel like this is kind of you talking yourself out of this thing that you truly want. And that comes from a place of fear, and it comes from a place of vulnerability, and it comes probably from a place of all of the things that happened to us in our past. But the thing is, the universe is giving you the opportunity to let all of this go, right? Those quiet expectations, the voices in your head that say it's probably really not going to work out, or I'm not going to get that raise, or I could never start that business because I just don't know enough. Because we could operate in that place of perfectionism as Venus goes through Virgo. The need for us to be perfect, the need for the situation to be perfect. We have to allow for the flexibility. We have to allow our fears to make an exit. Our need for all the answers, for all the guarantees. The thing about a Knight of Wands is they're not really in control. Now, sometimes they could feel like they're defending themselves, or they're in, kind of like a survival mode. We have this card number 25, Metamorphosis, underneath that 5 of Swords. And I really think now with Venus and Virgo is a time where you have the opportunity to clean up the way that you think. And this is absolutely a task that has to come in right now. Now with that 5 of Wands, I want to tell you, and this is definitely indicating that 12th house Mercury transit, that you're going to need to start saying the things. And I think when you start to say the things, all of this bound up energy kind of starts to unravel. I get the picture of like untying a shoestring that was like so tight around your ankles, causing all of this built up pressure. We get to untie that a little in August. We get to kind of let some of that stuff go. The need to know. I think there's certain conversations especially. And there's certain conversations that you'll probably come across in which you may or may not inadvertently expose some things that have probably been needing to be exposed for quite some time. Like saying those things to the people that really sparks change. Because remember that the journey is to a higher level of spirituality and to a higher level of self. And there's a unique quality coming out here with the Moon card of being able to be adaptable in the dark. Because we're going to overcome that pattern or that tendency to allow the doubts to creep in and take control. Now underneath the Moon card, we have card number 64, which is another 10, more completion energy, Woodwives, adaptability. This is so very Virgo energy. See, because the Virgo operates in pentacle form, right? She's very earthly. She's very practical. She's very sensual. And she has intense focus, and especially about the quality of things. And she has all of that discernment and that ability to know what is of quality and what is not. And I think there's an element of you that's kind of going through all the thoughts in your mind and saying, well, what thought is of quality and what is not? What is a self-sabotaging thought? And what is a thought of empowerment? Is this Virgo energy is going to make you step into a period of being empowered, because you're not afraid of the changes. You're not afraid of the unknown. You just simply want to get to that happy place. And you know that there's probably some pretty big hurdles left, but you're so close that you can and will accomplish it. But if you want the big things to happen, if you want the big changes, if you want like that really beautiful relationship, then you probably have to release yourself from the old versions of the old kinds of relationships that you participated in. The old kind of jobs or the old kind of friendships. And I think last month it was about like the shallow, right? It was about Leo not being able to accept the shallowness or the shallow side of life, like wanting to go deep, wanting to get passionate, wanting to really get to know things on a deeper level. And that goes for you as well. Getting to know yourself and getting to trust yourself on such a deeper level. Understanding why you do these things as well. Like, what are the things that trigger you and make you feel unsafe or unable to be vulnerable? Because you have to be adaptable, right? With the Wood Wives, there are things that are ending so new things can come in, and therefore we have to kind of release our need to keep everything the same. And I think that's what this Two of Pentacles is all about. Like, there's a part of you that is afraid of the change, and yet there's a part of you that is undeniable that wants the change to occur. And it's kind of like the different versions of yourself. And by the end of August, both versions of that self are fully accepted, fully integrated, and everyone's moving forward. Now you're moving into the moon energy. So that does let me know that by the end of August, there's still no real answers. And I've been saying reading after reading that there will not be. And I think there's an indication that none of this is really going to scream at you. Now I keep saying like there's stuff that's undeniable, right? That doesn't mean that it's going to scream at you. Because the High Priestess is quiet, right? Five of Swords is very loud. Five of Swords is other people's opinions, other people's thoughts, past experiences, negative talking. That stuff is loud. Fear is really loud. The High Priestess is quiet. And she's usually just a feeling. And I think you have to start like really looking hard at some of the things in your life and saying, yeah, but how does this make me feel? Do I feel safe with this person? Do I feel depleted in this situation? Because it's probably time to get a little bit selfish. Because you know your quality, you know that your time is quality, your resources are of quality. And they deserve to be protected. We don't share like our vulnerability with just anyone. Other people have to earn it. We have to be in a authentic place with somebody or in a situation where there is trust. And the trust isn't that like people are going to necessarily agree with you. The trust isn't that everything's going to go your way easily, right? It's a Ten of Wands and it won't. It's going to take effort. It's going to take pushing. It's going to take motivation to change and the allowing the change to occur. there's always an energy of fatedness with that moon as well, because I think it's always a path that leads us back home, like back home to ourselves, the moon energy. Where's our emotional home? Where's our emotional truth? And you may have to accept certain situations are what they are so that you can get yourself on that path of that emotional truth and your emotional home. And there's a deep knowing that other people might offer you advice this month, and it's probably not the best time to listen, right? It's not the best time to listen to other people's needs and wants and opinions. If you're making big decisions in your life, I wouldn't necessarily ask 100 different people. Like, you could talk to the people that you truly trust, but I wouldn't like take a poll around the office or ask all 100 of your closest friends, because I think that's just going to add to the confusion, which is going to slow the growth process. Because other people can't tell you how you feel. They don't know. They could tell you what looks good on paper. They could maybe point out some things that you're not seeing clearly. They could certainly help you navigate some things. But they can't and won't ever understand what your soul feels or how it's being called. And this month is all about the direction. And things have to end so new things can come in. And there's an acceptance, and then there's rapid progress. And my biggest, strongest message to you this month, Leo, is to not fear the unknown, because that's the biggest mistake that you can make. You're safe. Leo, regardless of your choices, you're safe. All right, guys, I'm going to leave it there. I hope that you all have a wonderful birthday again. I hope you have a wonderful month, and I will see you soon. Take care, guys. Bye.